Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor of New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. We are located at the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road in Wilmington, Delaware. There's parking on Hillcrest. We are the brown brick building located right on the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. We are reopened with protocol. We invite you to come and worship with us every Sunday at 10 a.m. We invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. And the reason that I'm making sure that I announce this every day this week is that it's leading up to our 16th anniversary at New Life Christian Center. We are excited about what God has done and God continues to do in giving us guidance, direction, and ordering our steps so that we can also be here in 3D every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted, to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. We are here for you because God is concerned about that which concerns you. Right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, brought to you by Fiji Water. You may already know that Fiji Water comes from Fiji and that it is Earth's finest water. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock. The water collects in a natural artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water. And for those of you who continue giving on the give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment by donating through our contribution page on our website at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com, we thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Again, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are ready to get out and socialize more frequently. However, the way your friends are living has appeared to change. That was your communication. You feel like your friends have changed during the pandemic and that they're not so I'll share with you what you're struggling with. You didn't go into much more detail than that in your communication, but God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life. So your struggle is that you feel like your friends don't want to get out and do the same things that you want to do, or even the same things that you all were doing before the pandemic. My allergies, so this is what you get when you view live. Okay, so your friends have changed their thought process about going out and socializing. And I realize we're starting to open things up across the country. Some places never shut down properly, but the reality is that even places that have been following the protocol that was established by the CDC, we're starting to reopen. And the reason we're starting to reopen is because now we have a vaccine. So more people are able to be vaccinated, and we're starting to move around a little more frequently because we're being vaccinated. The reality is, your concern is that your friends don't want to do the same things that you've always done. You feel that they've changed. The reality is they've grown. What you're missing is that your friends have matured. You know, we've been in this period of our lives for over a year now. And a lot has happened in that year. And because so much has happened during the course of that year, you know, there's been a change. So let me walk all of us through it so we can all benefit, all of our listeners and viewers can benefit from this. Think about this. When the pandemic was first publicly announced through the media across the world. And we had to shut down. And in our case, in our church, we shut down for 2 months. And the governor then gave protocol for which we could reopen. But we've lived under that protocol, and thank God no one has ever been, severely ill. We've all been safe, but we've been able to maintain some semblance of normalcy in our lives. The truth is that many people have had to relocate their business operations into their homes. We've had to change the way we live, the way we work, and the way that we conduct our normal daily activities or weekly activities, meaning diet and exercise. The way we were able to even go to the grocery stores initially, there was a change in that to purchase food that would sustain us during the shutdown, food and beverage. The reality is there's been a lot of change in a year. And one of the changes that we hope for is that people have matured. That people understand that sometimes it's necessary to follow direction and instruction. Now, sometimes we are capable of navigating life in a way that is going to lead us to the success that we all should desire. But the reality is that many people who had for lack of a better term, an immature thought process have now matured. You are still living the way you've always lived, or that's your desire. Your desire is to still be out every week, every weekend, some days during the week. That's who you are. Or I should say, that's who you are still. You've been living with the pandemic, not thriving during the pandemic, because you can't do what you want to do, what you desire to do, or what you've always done. Your friends have now matured. They've decided it's not worth placing yourself in harm's way. They've matured in the sense that they become more settled after living under certain, I won't say, partly living under some restrictions, but also living under protocol. They've grown. They're not going to return to the things that they've always done. They're going to take a new approach to life. The good news is that we all should be growing every day, every month, every year, every day, every week, every month, every year, to grow in a way that we mature in all aspects of our lives, that we look at life differently and we examine what we can do to enhance the quality of our lives, to experience the success we desire, to experience the fullness of God in all of our lives, and then to maximize the fullness of God. So that has to be our focus and our priority in life. You're not there yet. And that's a growing process. You have to decide that being out and about is not the most important thing in life. You have to come to that realization and you have to make that decision. And when you do, like so many others, you will then begin to see life differently, have a different perspective, a different approach, and mature to another level. Because this is what we're all working for every day of our lives, diligently to get to the next level in God. Because when we make God a part of everything that we do, it's all about getting to the next level in Him. That means, maturing in our body, our health and wellness. It means maturing in our mind, the way we think, the thoughts that we have daily, and our spirit, becoming more spiritually grounded, becoming more spiritually active, diligently seeking to experience the fullness of God. There's a scripture that tells us that He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. There's a reward in that. But some people haven't matured to that level yet, to that level of understanding. You'll get there. However, you don't need new friends. You just need to mature to the level that your current friends have matured over this last year. So you're seeing them as there's an old expression, like they're getting new on you. They're not getting new. They've just matured. And they're still who they are. They still love you. The hope should be that you'll mature to that next level also. Because we are coming out of a pandemic, but we still have the pandemic present. The effects of a public health issue that still has to be addressed. However, I'm the first one who said, that I know of, who said, we're not just going to live through the pandemic, we're going to thrive during the pandemic. And we have to keep working to that end every single day. Life is work. I'm not telling you to make every aspect of life a job. I'm telling you that life is work to mature and develop into a better version of ourselves. Each of us should want to develop into a better version of ourselves daily. So I will share with all of you before I go to the next communication and take a moment for our sponsor. I was having a text exchange with my spiritual son this morning, and one of the things that we talked about, he was asking me what I was feeling in my spirit about coming up on our 16th anniversary at New Life Christian Center. And one of the things I said to him is, I have a burning desire to be closer to God. And that's what I'm seeking every day. This has been on my spirit since March 11th. And it hasn't gone away every day. Body, mind, and spirit. We want to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. I want to be closer to God. You know, when you think you're close, when you are, meditating every day, praying every day, reading the scripture every day, serving his people every day, you think that you're close. You trying to stay in his actual presence every day. You really think that you're close. You're close to God. What I recognized is that what God has placed on my spirit is even getting closer. And I didn't know what that looked like, but I said, God, I'm going to keep my mind stayed on you and being closer to you. Because you said if I draw near to you, you'll draw nearer to me. Now, I had to ask for forgiveness because I thought I was as close as I could get. Not that we can't grow more in everything that we're doing, but I thought I was there in the fact of being in his actual presence daily. But there's another level. And so I want to be like those who walked before me in the scriptures, who walked with God, who were found perfect in his generation, who were, and we're all being perfected. That's another segment that I'd have to spend on being perfect in his generation. That doesn't mean we're not going to be without flaws. But the reality is that in order to mature, we're going to have to get closer to God, have a closer relationship with the Lord. And if we do that, we'll begin to experience the fullness of God in all of our lives. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you can become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are caught up on all of your Q1 work, okay? To God be the glory. And you want to know, how can you ensure the success of your next quarter? So it's very interesting. I love these questions about business and professional development, because God wants us to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. And so you said you're all caught up on your Q1 work. And as I said, to God be the glory, because everyone can't say that. Now, here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Spend this next week. We have essentially 8 more days left in the month. Spend that next week getting ahead of the next quarter. However, focus on the remainder of the year, not just the quarter. But listen, take all of the information that is available to you for work that has to be done in the coming quarter. What needs to be accomplished in the second quarter before there's a report, before your CEO does an analyst presentation, or whatever the case may be. What do you need to do in the coming quarter? Outline everything that you need to do from an administrative aspect, from a development aspect, from a management aspect, from a marketing aspect, and from an operational aspect. Chart those things out and begin the process of getting ahead of the next quarter. While you're doing that, focus on what you need to accomplish professionally for the remainder of the year. Our professional careers take up the greater portion of our lives. And that's not a bad thing. We get so caught up in the talking points of having work-life balance. Well, I want to say to everyone, if you're going to have work-life balance, you need to focus on your career. You need to focus on your personal things you know how to do. The personal aspects of your life, you know what you want to get done. In business, there's always going to be some variable about what you're doing or what your company's next steps are. We have to focus on that because there's a lot of moving parts. The personal aspect of life, we can always place a pause and regroup or revise what needs to be done. The professional aspect's going to keep moving whether you keep up or not. So I encourage everyone, quarterly reports are real. So, in investment banking, we had something we used, which was an AMR, which was a annual management report. We used an MMR, which was a monthly management report. A QMR, which was a quarterly management report, and the AMR, which was the AMR, the QMR, and the MMR, which was a monthly management report. So you should know where you are every month, every quarter, and where you are before the end of the year comes. Because you're going to have to report on that at the end or the beginning of the year, depending on your corporation. You don't want to get stuck in, I'm caught up right now on my quarter. You don't want to get stuck there. You don't want to. Some people will say, well, that's going to be my downtime. No, that's not your downtime, because your corporation is not having downtime. Your corporation is going to continue moving. The business is going to continue moving, and you have to remain caught up and up to date on the curve. What's going to happen next? So we always need to be looking out ahead of where we are. When you're driving, you don't focus on the stoplight that you're sitting at, or where you're sitting at a stoplight. You're not focused on that stoplight until it turns green. You're focused on the occupied spaces next to you are going to be part of your peripheral vision, but you're focused on where you're going on the highway. You're focused on where you're going on the road ahead. You know, do I need to change lanes before I get to that next light? At least this is what we should be doing. Well, it's business is the same way. Do I need to change lanes? Do I need to, am I moving into an occupied space? Do I need to make a U-turn? I know driving analogies, but the reality is these are things that we have to think about. And then we have to think beyond that. In other words, if you see traffic backed up on the highway ahead of you, you have to determine, do I need to find an alternative route, or am I going to be able to sit through this? Was there an accident that occurred that has backed up the traffic? You have to think about the consequences of your next action or the unintended consequences. Business is the same way. We have to be constantly thinking about the motion, the next act, the intentional decision to perform a task. So I'm going to encourage you, do not sit idly by the next week. Focus. Get the next quarter. Get ahead of the next quarter. And then focus on the remainder of the year. What do you need to accomplish for the remainder of this year? And work until that end. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. They have shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK, and they also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, check for their store hours, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need. Home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. If you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your family always expects you to referee their arguments. However, at this point in your life, it is no longer of interest to you to serve in that role. So, listen, you are not required to serve in that role any longer. Once you make the decision that you are not going to be the referee, you are no longer responsible for serving in that role. And this is what I want to encourage all families to do. This is what I want to encourage all of our listeners and viewers to do. Spend your life searching for peace, not a problem. Let me repeat that. You have to search for peace, not search for problems. If you spend your life searching for a problem, you are going to find the problem every day of your life. When you search for peace, when you are living your life to have peace, you will find the peace in every single day. You will find peace that not only surpasses all understanding, you'll find perfect peace. The goal for each of us should be, every single day, searching for peace in our personal lives, searching for peace in our home life. We should be searching for peace every single day. There's nothing more important to your mental health and your mental well-being than finding the place of peace in your life. So many people disrupt their psyche, their emotional well-being, by spending their life searching for problems. If you search for a problem, you'll find a problem. Problems are always going to appear in the life of mankind because bad things do happen to good people. However, when you're searching for a problem, you're going to find a problem. When you're searching for peace, you're going to live within peace. And I want to encourage all of our listeners and viewers today, because we've had a significant increase once again in viewership. All of our listeners and viewers, I'm going to encourage you every single day to search for peace. You know, I've said long ago that we need to not just live with peace, not just live with peace that we don't even understand, because that's a good place to be. But when you find perfect peace, it's going to provide you with great mental and emotional health. And that should be important to all of us in our everyday lives. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that recently you said something that hurts someone else's feelings, and now they are finding it difficult to get beyond your comments. You know, here's the problem. So often, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. We fill up our heart with things that we feel need to be said to other people. So people sometimes do take an action that we don't agree with. Sometimes they do things that we find to be offensive. Sometimes they do things that we find are inappropriate. And sometimes when they do those things, we feel like we need to be heard, that we need to tell them what we didn't like. We feel like we need to tell them why we didn't like it. And the reality is that sometimes we don't need to be heard. Sometimes we just need to make a mental note of things. We need to decide what is acceptable to us and what's not acceptable to us. And then we need to respond accordingly. Responding does not mean saying something. Sometimes it just means taking an action. And sometimes the action is just a personal act of making a decision that you're not going to tolerate that. You're going to separate yourself from those particular individuals and go on with our lives. There are times in our lives when we don't need to be heard. We just need to be silent and take action. So I just want to encourage you, don't stress yourself out by feeling that every time someone says something, you need to be heard. Now, with regard to the other party finding it difficult to get over your comments, let me help you out with something. They may never get over your comment. They may never accept the fact that you felt that it was okay to say something that was offensive to them. They may never get over that. You can't unring that bell. There may be nothing that you can do that will help them to get over what they're feeling right now. It may only take them time to accept who you are and to move on from that. And how they move on is going to be entirely up to them, because that's a decision they get to make for themselves. Just remember, moving forward, that there will be moments in your life when you may feel the need to say something. However, it may not need to be said. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D is brought to you by Fiji Water, A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God